Hello, welcome to or back to the channel. My name is Brittany. If you are new here, today we are diving into past lives. I'm really excited. I'm really excited to make this video. I've been holding on this topic for a while. I've been really wanting to sit down and film this. This is the fit, by the way, you guys. How cute. And before we get started, I'm gonna light up the candles behind me. Can you tell they're lit? For the ambiance. For the ambiance. Anyways, okay. So I just hosted today, side note, you guys, today's Canada Day. Canada Day. Canada Day? Canada Day? um, you hear the car going by. I live across the street from a beach, so it might be a little noisy. You might hear some cars and whatnot, so please don't mind that. But I'm really excited to be sitting down and doing this video. Finally, it feels like I've been sitting on this for a while, but I've been so busy. Today's July 1st, so I'm really excited because I officially ended my one-on-one personal readings yesterday. That was my last day of one-on-one readings. Woo! Celebrate good times, come on. Yeah, you should watch my life update video. I could talk about that, like the one where I blow my mind. Anyways, with that, I had this past life idea come to me a while ago, and I've just been so busy. I hosted my first retreat last week, which was also amazing last weekend. So, wow, it was like a week ago today, basically. It was the first retreat, which is crazy. If you're interested in hearing about that, let me know in the comments and I can make a short little video about how that went. But without further ado, get cozy, get comfy, grab your water, grab your tea, grab your coffee, grab your wine, whatever it is you're doing, and let's dive into this juicy episode. So if I look down, I might be looking at my notes. I just was kind of like, my little notes. So past lives, first of all, people are going to start remembering their past lives. People are going to start remembering their past lives and not in the way that you might think, or maybe exactly in the way that you think. But I'm not talking about just, oh, I feel like, like I had a past life in Europe or Europe. I meant to say Egypt. Anyways, oh, I feel like I had a past life in Egypt or whatever. Like I'm talking more specific than that. I'm talking you're going to know specific details about certain instances of your past lives that will help you heal right here, right now. I've been experiencing this personally for the past year. It's so cool. It's crazy and it's not always easy, actually. It's been some of the hardest memories I ever had to remember, if that makes sense. And you will only learn enough to help you on your healing journey here in this lifetime, if that makes sense. Now, just a little disclaimer, this isn't something that you should seek out. Just by focusing on you and your healing journey, this will just start happening kind of when it's supposed to. And maybe for some people, you never have to dive into your past lives, and that's okay too. So don't try to make it happen, because sometimes I find like by trying to make it happen, your ego might come up with something that's not actually rooted in truth. This is not me telling you you shouldn't do past life regressions or anything like that. If you feel called to do that, trust yourself, trust your intuition. Do you know what I'm saying? But for me personally, when I recall my past lives, they always happen during psilocybin journeys. And sometimes just in everyday life, I get kind of like a memory or a little message. And as I'm talking, I'm remembering one other past life in particular, and I would just want to write it down so I don't forget. I'm gonna grab my pen. 444. Timer. Okay, so a couple things that I want to say before I kind of like dive in. As I was saying before, like you don't go searching for this, you guys. This will come. You will have these memories when and how you're supposed to. I got the message that people are going to start remembering though, and it'll come through journeys, like if you sit with medicine, or it can come through dreams, having very vivid dreams, or just like a memory. When you just remember something out of nowhere, it might start happening like that for some people as well. So if you're coming across this video, if you feel called to click on this video, maybe this is a little message for you. Maybe you're going to start remembering your past lives, or maybe you've had some crazy vivid dreams and you're like, what the hell was that about? And for me, in my experience, I've been experiencing this for the past year, and whatever spirit shows me about my past life is to teach me something about myself, to help me heal something that I literally carried into this life. And with that, talking about past lives, I'm using the term past lives because that's what, often people use, like that's the verbiage, but time is not actually linear. Our past lives are actually happening right here, right now, like all at once, simultaneously. So it's a little bit more complex than just saying like a past life, but I'm going to use past life for simplicity's sake. But just keep in mind, these timelines are actually all happening at the same time. So when I'm shown a window into a past life, and I'll get into my personal experiences, so this will make more sense in a bit. But when I'm shown a past life, I would feel all of the emotions again as if I was reliving that experience in real time. And what I realized is by doing that, I'm helping that past life version of me feel all of the emotions and purge the emotions that I needed to purge. And I'm also, in certain circumstances, I've also offered love and support to that version of me in the spiritual realm. Which is crazy and cool because it's like there's versions of me that had to go through some really traumatizing, really hard shit, as I'm sure you as well. If you're watching this, I'm sure in your past lives, same thing. And I was able to send love to myself, give myself a hug, and just offer that support, which is crazy, which is super cool, super interesting. So, and there's a hawk that's flying by, but, so just keep that in mind. I'm using the term past lives, but really it's, all kind of happening at the same time. And we're going to get into that a little bit more because, yeah, I wrote down like dancing with timelines, which we'll get into in a minute. It's super interesting. I'm going to do my best to do this justice, you guys. I'm going to explain it the best I can. Stay tuned because maybe there will be more videos in future about past lives again when I kind of dive deeper. I do feel really called to talk about past life regression that keeps popping into my mind. There probably will be some people, like maybe you feel called to do past life regression, or maybe to guide people through past life regression. Like it feels like people who do past life regressions, that's going to become more popular. And I just have like full chills. That's going to be something that's like more common, more that's done more, because it's going to be needed because people are going to be having these vivid memories, these visions, or whatever they are. And essentially, remembering your past life is to help you with healing, but it's also to help with connection. It's also to help understand different cultures better, different people, like other people better, as we heal as a collective, because, we're going through the dark days right now, for lack of a better word. Earth is going through a death and rebirth. The old Earth is dying so that, all this shit that needs to go can go and we could rebuild a new earth, for lack of a better word. And I don't really like using that terminology because I don't associate myself with the new age spiritual community. To me, that is its own religion in and of itself. To me, my religion is love. I see truth in all religions, but I also see distortion within religions. Keep pause for another episode. I'm going to be doing a whole other episode or video here talking specifically about religion. And I'm going to dive into Catholicism, just based on personal experience. So keep an eye out for that one. That one is in the works. Woo! I'm so excited to be creating more of this style content. So, without further ado, let's dive into some of my personal stories. This is where it gets fun and juicy. And maybe it'll help kind of, I'm a mirror. Do you know what I'm saying? So, it's like maybe by me sharing some of my experiences, it might connect some dots for you within your own life, if that makes sense. Ah, I'm excited because this is so fun. Okay. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11 plus people in this lifetime that I know of so far. Plus, and I could say even more than that. Specifically, I were in my past lives and they're showing up in different roles in this lifetime, and I know the correlation. So let's kind of go through a few of them and I'm going to give you examples. So it's so interesting. My first boyfriend, we'll call him Bob. Okay, we'll call my first boyfriend Bob. Um, I only dated him for a couple of months. Like it wasn't, to me, it wasn't a serious relationship. It was in college. I wasn't allowed to date through high school, you guys. I feel like that's important to note. So for me, it was kind of like just that high school puppy love romance. It wasn't anything real. I had no experience dating, which is a whole other conversation. I could do a whole episode on that too, and how, you should let your kids date, let your kids learn, because I lacked so much experience, and which led to trauma essentially, because of my lack of experience. And anyways, that's a whole other video. That's a whole other tangent. So I won't get into that. But my first boyfriend, college, only dated for a couple of months. I ended up breaking up with him. Um, I'm laughing because this story is crazy. I never took it too seriously at all, the relationship. Fast forward years later, fast forward till 2023, 2023, end of 2023. I end up meeting this other woman, we'll call her Jill. And I met Jill through my good friend Holly. If you are familiar with my stuff, you know that Holly and I do a lot of work together. We hosted the retreat together. We have our Beehive community together, which if you're interested in community, you should check out my online community. The info is in the description, just a little side note there. Anyways, Holly is from the States, and it's so interesting because she became friends with Jill online, and Holly was here in Maple, or when I was living in Maple Ridge. I'm not in Maple Ridge anymore, but just an area outside of Vancouver. When I was living there, she came to visit me, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I really want you to meet my friend Jill." So Jill comes over, we all hang out. She's great, I feel comfortable with her. I really like Jill. Jill shows me a video that she made of her and her now husband, but at the time it was her fiance. And I was like, no fucking way. I was like, wait, that's your fiance? She's like, yeah. Why? I was like, that's my first boyfriend. I'm like, that was my first boyfriend. And it's so crazy because she used to live in Quebec. I have a lot of family in Quebec, which is like a 4 or 5 hour flight from where I'm living now. And my ex-boyfriend was doing work in Quebec, happened to meet her, and then and then she ended up moving here because of him. And Jill met my friend Holly online. They became friends online. And when Holly was visiting me, Jill lives near me now since she moved from Quebec to here. So Holly was like, "Oh my God, you have to, we all have to hang out." And then Jill shows me a video of her fiance, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is crazy. That's my ex-boyfriend. Like, that's my first boyfriend." And she was like, "No way." And we were just kind of like, it was just one of those like, what? Like, what? Like, what are the chances? Do you know what I'm saying? Because me and Jill really hit it off, and she's the sweetest woman. We've become friends. And whatever, we just think we boil it down to a crazy coincidence, right? Nothing's a coincidence at the end of the day, and I know that, and I believe we come down here with our soul families, but like, what are the chances? You know what I'm saying? Like, just such a weird synchronicity, weird coincidence, whatever. Fast forward, Jill and I end up like hanging out actually, like not like all the time. She has her own life, I have my own life. We live about 40 minutes to an hour away from each other, so it's not like we're seeing each other all the time, but we definitely keep in touch. We definitely do like hang out a few times. Like, I went to her house, we went to the beach together one time. She's come to my house a few times. Like, we've done ayahuasca together. Like, she's like a soul sister. And I know that she's a soul sister. And eventually, I actually ended up giving her now husband a reading because he was kind of like feeling lost. And she's like, "Hey, would you give him a reading?" I was like, "Absolutely." So that was the first time him and I like really connected again. And I wish him well. Like, I don't harbor any negative feelings toward him or anything like that. Like, to me, it was like a very insignificant relationship. Um, Anyways, so this is kind of like so strange to me. And then last year, I did a mushroom journey. Also, side note, if you are interested in psilocybin, if you're interested in microdosing, I am a brand ambassador for Flowdose. I really, really recommend the brand, you guys, if you're not sure like where to get good quality, mush from. Yeah, I am a brand ambassador, but if you're interested, the link is in my bio, just throwing that out there as well. Anyways, I did a journey. And this was the first time that this really happened to me, where spirit really kind of showed me, a window into my past life. And I had two past life recollections that came through in that journey. One I'll get to after, but this recollection, I think was the first one. It was crazy. So what basically came through, this is crazy. I had a choice in the journey to like heal. Um, they showed me a past life where Bob, my ex-boyfriend, and I were actually like married. And Jill in that past life was like my best friend or sister. I'm not sure, one of the two. And they had an affair behind my back. And I came into this life with sciatica. I really struggled with back pain for a very, very long time. Sometimes so, and it was, very on and off it, but sometimes it's so bad I literally can't even walk. Um, and they were showing me, Brittany, you came into this life with back pain because you were backstabbed, betrayal, like backstabbed in like the worst way from your husband and from your sister slash best friend, whichever it was. And I just have chills right now as I'm like reiterating this. And when that came to mind, I was like, oh my God. And I had the choice because at this point, Jill was brought into my life. Like, do you choose to mend this relationship? And of course, I said yes. And it's like I felt like I was like signing some sort of energetic contract. It was so interesting, you guys. Like, I don't even really know how to articulate it. But of course, I said yes. And what they were showing me is like we couldn't heal it in the past life because our egos were too big. Our egos were in the way, betrayal, hurt. Like, I didn't have it in me to forgive them. So we're starting fresh in this lifetime with a clean slate so that we can heal our relationship. And I have full body chills, you guys. And when I chose yes to heal, I felt this pressure on my back just like dissipate. And when I tell you my sciatica did not bother me for almost a year, it did not bother me for almost a year. I was like, it's cured, it's gone, we're healing. But then it started coming back like almost a year. And I was like, oh, okay. It wasn't that easy. Like there's more work to be done, basically. And I have chills as I'm saying that. But there's more work to be done. Like there's more healing to do. And, our relationship has been great and there's nothing I have bad to say about it, but I've been gaining even more like clarity surrounding that dynamic. It's interesting because with the past life thing, what on a different psilocybin journey, what spirit showed me about past lives is like because all of these timelines are actually happening all at once, in the lifetime where I was married to Bob, he was right. He did have a connection with Jill, of course. He was feeling into this current timeline where they're currently married. Does that make sense? He was feeling into a connection there, but because of his ego at the time, because I strongly believe love is a choice because we definitely have more than one soulmate. We have connections with more than one people or more than one person. He did have a connection with Jill as well, but it wasn't that lifetime where their stars were supposed to align. It wasn't that lifetime. He was feeling into this current lifetime where it was time for their stars to align. And because of his ego at the time, he caved and went to explore that outside of his covenant to me. And, my sister or best friend, whoever she was like a sister. It's kind of like how it came through. Same as her, she was feeling into that connection. And instead of having loyalty to me and choosing that, she chose deception as well. And I was betrayed by both of them. And it sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy. And don't harbor any ill or anything towards that, you guys. I want to make that very clear. And I've actually shared this story with her, which is so funny. And she was like, no, that's crazy. Anyways, but it is really interesting because recently I was at their baby shower and they did like a co-ed baby shower. They did it together. And I went and his dad was like, apparently Bob's ex-girlfriend is here. And he said that to me and my friend Holly. And I was like, that's me. I'm the ex-girlfriend. And then I said something like, oh, it wasn't even really that serious. It was just, a couple months and it was so long ago. And then he goes, oh, I think it was a lot more serious for him then, if that's the case. And I was just like, oh shit. Like I didn't realize that it was, and it was funny he said that to me because I don't think that he wants me to know that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like he probably, whether he admits it or not, like it doesn't matter. Like I wish them well. I'm genuinely not interested in him at all. He's a good guy and I'm happy for her. I'm happy for them. I want to celebrate them together. I want to make that very crystal, crystal clear. But it's interesting when he said that, it felt like, and Holly even said this to me, it's like that was his karma playing out in a way. It's like him really liking me. And he was really nice to me. Like he did do really nice things. Like he did try, like yeah, I just wasn't that into him essentially at the end of the day. And yeah, I ended up breaking things off with him like only a couple months in. And I think that he was maybe more hurt than I realized. And the message coming through surrounding that was like, this is his current, like, or that, like at the time, because this was years ago. Like now nobody cares. But, whatever heartbreak because and this sounds bad to say, but I really didn't feel heartbroken at all when I broke up with him. I felt bad. If anything, I just felt bad for him. But apparently, I guess it was was harder for him, and I'm laughing now. But it's like just so interesting, right? Isn't that interesting how that's playing out? And now it's like we're healing our relationship because they're together and I'm genuinely happy for them. I want to make that very clear. Okay. I am not, yeah, not at all interested. And they have a baby on the way and it's beautiful. And, going to their baby shower to celebrate them. It's healing. It's healing whatever soul connection that we have. And yeah. So they showed me that does that make sense to connect the dots? It has to do with my healing, my sciatica. So crazy. So crazy. So that's story number one. I also know that Holly, I wrote down Holly here. I know that she was in a few of my past lives because she also came through in this journey to me, not as like a just kind of as like a major support system. Um yeah, as a major support system because she feels because this came through. Holly feels almost like motherly towards me sometimes, which sounds funny, like this maternal, like, I don't know. And what came through in that journey is like I've had a lifetime where I went through a lot, like betrayal. My husband died in that lifetime, leaving me pregnant with two young kids. And I just, another really close person in my life p- passed tragically as well, like in a very traumatic way. So that lifetime, Holly was really, really there for me. And she has this like protective energy toward me that stems from like past lives, which is crazy. Um, but with that, let's segue into another past life. So I was seeing this guy for on and off for almost a year last year. We ended things in December of 2024. And I know that so I had a past life with him and I thought that he was the one in this lifetime. Like I fully believed that he was the one. I was getting all of the signs and synchronicities for it. And it's interesting because before this recollection, I remember having this like weird feeling that he was gonna die. Like I got like this message that he was gonna die. And I was like, what the fuck? Like what? Like why are you telling me this? But what I was really feeling into in hindsight was a past timeline where he did die. So spirit also showed me a timeline where I was married to this man. Ugh, and I have chills in it. Yeah, I don't want to get all emotional all over again because I had to relive this and it was really, really hard. So this was on the same journey actually. They showed me a past life where I was married to him and I was pregnant and I had two young kids and daddy just didn't come home one day. He tragically passed away in a plane crash. And I was told that like or in that journey they showed me that I have such a deep abandonment wound that I carried into this lifetime partially because of that, being abandoned, not that it was intentional. But I was, yeah, abandoned, in that lifetime. And in that lifetime, I didn't have it in me to love anybody else. Apparently, like I died alone, or, I'm sure I had family and that sort of a thing. But I went through a lot of grief in that lifetime. And what spirit also showed me is there's like different levels that a soul kind of moves through. And let's say you're level one, however many lifetimes you need to kind of pass level one, and then level two, however many past lives you need to pass level two. And I don't want to say pass, like, because it's not pass or fail, but you get what I'm saying, to learn what you're supposed to learn. And I think it's number 8 is what they showed me, like soul level 8. I could be wrong though. Okay. Don't hold me to that. But um, there's a lifetime where it's like after you've gone through quite a few, you experience extreme grief and extreme sadness. And that was my lifetime for that. My husband passed, I had betrayal, I had another, I don't even want to say who this person is because they're really close and I don't want to put it out into the universe, but there's another immediate family member that tragically passed. Like I had my lifetime where I've been through grief and tragedy like that. Because I'm sure you guys like look at the news and you're like, wow, why do some people really go through so much in a lifetime compared to other people, right? And it's like knowing that your soul is meant to experience it all. It will experience it all, the good and the bad. And it makes me emotional. I get full body chills every time I say that. Like your soul will experience everything. It'll experience being poor. It'll experience being extremely wealthy. It'll experience evil, it'll experience good, it'll experience all of it through the different levels, but through different lifetimes, right? It's impossible to experience and to learn all of it in one lifetime, which is also really why, like, you shouldn't compare yourself to other people or anything like that. We are all on our own journey, and we're going to come back down here or to whatever other planet to go through all of those experiences, if that makes sense. But what Spirit showed me was, um, don't worry, like, because I had to relive that experience, like him dying. I don't even know how to explain it, but on the shrooms, it like brought me back there. And when I tell you, ugh, I was grieving. I was grieving like I've never felt grief before, you guys. Like I was grieving like I've never, like the like the wails that were coming from my body. Oh my God. And I was helping that version of me purge. And that was also a timeline where I was able to, in this space and time, I was able to go to that version of me and hug her and give her love and tell her that she's okay. And it makes me emotional. Like it makes me emotional when I like, even when I think back to that, because that was like really a hard journey, like to relive that experience. It's like I really felt it all again. I remembered, and I was like, oh my God. And that really caused me to kind of like attach onto him in our dynamic in this lifetime. And I didn't know why it was so hard for me to let him go. And it's because it stems from a past life. And I think that, I don't know if we're meant to be or not anymore. Like I thought we were for a while. But, a part of me now thinks like maybe we were just meant to come back into this lifetime so that I could say goodbye, so that I could have my goodbye and I could close out that loop because I didn't get a chance to say goodbye in the last one. Sorry. It like literally makes me emotional still. Oh, and it was really hard to relive that, but I had to understand the abandonment wound and why I hold on. Like it's also partly why I hold on to relationships so tightly, but especially him. It stemmed from a past life and I chose to heal that in this lifetime through us reconnecting. Um and just through all of it. Oh, sorry. And I thought that, like, maybe I thought, and this is why it's really important not to attach meanings to things because I kind of attached a meaning to it that wasn't really rooted in truth. And I attached the meaning of, like, oh, this is our lifetime where you're not going to die and we're going to get to live happily ever after. And, like, obviously, that's not what happened. You know what I'm saying? I had to say bye. And that was one of the hardest breakups. Oh, anyways, you guys, I put on mascara. It's gonna be all like dripping down my face. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. Oh, Brittany, you're good. Oh. Okay, as I just like clean up my face a little bit, or as I like go dab my eyes down with some Kleenex and blow my nose, let's take a little break, and I'm gonna show you a little. I'm gonna give you a little bit more info on the beehive. The healing journey can be hard. That's why we created this online space with such deep intention, the Beehive.
What we've truly come to know is the importance of a safe community that understands you. We've both experienced the power of being witnessed, held, and supported, and that's where true healing happens.
The Beehive is a grounded, heart-led space rooted in connection, reflection, growth, authenticity, and self-love. It's a community built on grounded spirituality, not bypassing, but coming home to yourself through your heart, your body, your truth, and your lived experience.
While we honor the magic of the mystical, we also know the importance of staying rooted. Inside, you'll find real tools, embodiment practices, and a community of like-minded people who get it. It's a safe space where all are welcome, where your wisdom, your struggles, and your growth are honored.
If you've been craving a down-to-earth space to heal, grow, and feel supported, we'd love to welcome you into the Hive.
We'd love to see you there.
Okay. Oh my God. Okay, you guys, I grabbed some tissue this time. I did not expect to get so emotional. Um, Yeah, but as you could tell, like clearly my soul remembers. Like I don't know how else to explain it. It like remembers, even though it wasn't this lifetime now. I have that memory like you would any other memory. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it's like in my soul. It's ingrained in my soul. And yeah, it was really, this is why too, with relationships and stuff like that, like always choose yourself. Always choose yourself first and foremost. Always do what's best for you. Because if your stars are meant to align with someone, they will. Never sacrifice you for a connection. Because yes, you're probably right about having deep soul connections with certain people, but it doesn't mean your stars are meant to align in this lifetime. Maybe you guys came together to close out a loop from a past life, or maybe because your souls are familiar with each other, you chose to come into each other's lives to teach each other an important lesson. Sometimes the stars are not meant to align, and that's okay because there's a whole other lifetime where they do align for you, which is beautiful. So I just want to say that as well, because that was another thing, right? It's like dancing with timelines, going back to the betrayal. This is why you'll notice, and you guys might notice this within friend dynamics. You might be with your, let's say, partner, and you meet your partner's friends and you have like a weird connection with one or two of them. You're like, what the hell? Like, not that you cross a line, but you notice, like, if I were to explore this, there might be something deeper there. Probably because there is, probably because your stars aligned in another lifetime, which is why love is a choice as well. And you choose your partner, and you don't want to let your ego take over and betray your choice in this lifetime. Trust that by choosing you always, your stars will align with who you're supposed to align with in this lifetime. Never abandon yourself for a connection. Just because there's a connection, it doesn't mean it's the best aligned match for you in this lifetime, but it also doesn't take away from the connection. So when you break up with people or feel those connections, like let yourself feel what you're supposed to feel, because sometimes it goes a lot deeper than you might consciously be aware of. It might be tied from a past life. I'll give you another example. I met this man in Mexico in 2022. When I tell you it was love at first sight, and I have chills, like it was love. Aw, he's so cute. It was literally like love at first sight, you guys. And he's from Portugal. My family's from Portugal. He actually lived in He lives in Portugal. He was in Mexico on vacation. I'm here living in Vancouver area in Mexico for for a vacation. We meet, and it was literally like this instant connection. And we had just like a little 2-day summer romance. And it was intense and I didn't understand it. Like so much so I was like in tears a little bit, like leaving. I'm like, of course I meet somebody so amazing and I have to go back home and he lives in a whole other ass country. And anyways, through over time, I got the drop in that that was a gift. The universe, our stars are not meant to align in this lifetime either, but that was a gift. Us meeting in Mexico was a gift for both of our souls because in a past life we had a lifetime together. Oh, and I have chills. We had a past life together. We had a whole beautiful life together where he was my partner, and yeah, and it's funny, whenever I get the visual of just green grass fields, so I don't know exactly what our life entailed, but it dropped in like him and I do love each other. Our souls know each other. Our souls really recognized each other, and that was a gift. Our souls coming together. Oh, I have chills. That was a gift from God, from Source, just for us to reconnect in that small little moment, but that's all it was supposed to be because his stars are meant to align with someone else in this lifetime. My stars are meant to align with someone else in this lifetime, but it was a gift. And so fun. It was so cute but literally like love at first sight, like I've never experienced before. And it makes sense now. I'm like, of course, like I did love him. Like my soul recognized him and knew him, and our our chemistry just crazy. It's like I knew him. I don't even know. Just we just anyways. Anyways, I'll just leave that there. But it was a gift, and what a beautiful gift. So again, important not to attach onto these things because that's all it was supposed to be. And that was what I needed at that time and probably what he needed at that time too. Um okay. Next on the list. Okay. So this one is fun too, you guys. This is interesting. This kind of ties into what I was just saying about like if you feel that you have like a connection with like your partner's friends or whatever it may be, um I started seeing the name Scott everywhere. I was seeing the name Scott everywhere. And I know love is coming in for me. Like, I know love is coming in for me. It's July 1st. I'm calling it right here, right now, this month, maybe even, or next, like the summertime. It's coming in. I feel it by September. By September, I feel like love's coming in for me. I'll let you guys know if it does or not. But I feel like it's coming in for me. And in June, I kept seeing the name Scott everywhere. And I'm like, I even said to Holly, I'm like, Holly, I'm seeing the name Scott everywhere. Like, so much so, it's like a little crazy. Like signs, just like in the most random spots, like the name Scott just kept popping up, popping up, popping up. And so I said to Holly, I was like, maybe my future man's name is Scott, woo, like maybe it's Scott, maybe they're giving me the name, whatever. No, that wasn't it. I do a journey. I felt called to a mushroom journey. This past month, early in this month. And spirit brought me to more of my past lives. And before I actually jump into the Scott timeline, well, do you know what? No, okay, hold on. Never mind. Let's jump into the Scott timeline first, and then I'll get into what else I was going to say. Um, but they take me to a past life with a man named Scott, and I had a whole life with him. I had a whole life with him. And I just have chills. And they didn't give me too much detail about it, but all I know is like they gave me a memory of him and I, and we were looking out on, I just remember the scenery. It was different than the green grass fields that I saw with the guy I met in Mexico. This was, I don't know, like there was water, but more of like a lake. I don't know exactly where it was, but different scenery. I was partnered up with this person. His name is Scott, and we had a whole life together. But Scott, I know Scott. He's actually together with this girl that I worked with for like years. And the girl that I worked with for years, she's gonna know, she definitely knows like who I'm talking about. I'm just gonna say her name, Jess. So Jess, if you're watching this, she probably is not even watching this, but like, girl, you can hit me up because this is interesting. Don't worry, I'm not interested in Scott in this lifetime at all, but it was the last thing I expected too for him to like come up in my journey. It was just a memory of a whole life where I had a whole life with Scott. And what they were showing me was basically what I was saying before, like him and I had a whole other lifetime where our stars aligned. And I've met Scott like a couple of times through Jess, the girl that I work with. Jess is also freaking amazing. Like I love Jess. Like I love Jess. I love Jess. Who doesn't love Jess? Um yeah, her and I actually really like we really got along like as when we worked together. Well, I really liked her at least. I can't speak for her, but like I really liked her. She's freaking awesome. And so because through her I met her partner a couple of times, and not like it's not like there was anything sexual or anything like that, but him and I did get along. Do you know what I'm saying? Like we were able to have conversation. And it's just like funny now. It's like I'm like, "Oh my God, I had a whole past life with him. That's crazy." But what Spirit was showing me, then Jess came into the journey and they were showing me how amazing and beautiful Jess is. And I was like, yeah, Jess is amazing. Jess is beautiful. And they were explaining to me, like, this is the lifetime for Scott and Jess to, this is their lifetime for their stars to align. And I think Spirit gave me that memory just for me to understand what I'm explaining to you guys. Does that make sense? Nothing is supposed to happen with Scott and I. Nothing ever has happened with Scott or I. I want to make that very clear. But Spirit was just kind of showing me like you had a whole lifetime where it did align with him, just like there's probably other people too, like even my first boyfriend, like it's just crazy. And it's interesting because the name Scott, I know of another Scott where I had a whole life with him as well, but this was I think my first love, if I'm being honest. I had a crush on this guy when I was really young, like 12 years old to 14, and him and I really, really got along really well, but I wasn't allowed to date or anything like that, so I didn't know how to express anything. And I know that he like liked me too, like I know that. But I was too like I couldn't express anything. But it's interesting because the name Scott has like followed me around oddly, which is just through different people. But like Scott, that name coming back up was just like really interesting. So I know that I had a whole past life with that other Scott, and he's now married. Like I haven't spoken to this other one in years, 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 years. But he's now married to another beautiful woman who I actually also know. No, it's so funny. It's so crazy. The connections, the soul ties, the connections. It's crazy. You know what's funny is soul ties. Isn't that like the Love Island thing? Is that what they call it? Soul ties? That's just interesting. Like the soul ties, the soul threads, like we're all connected. Like it makes sense that you're going to have connections with more than one person, but it doesn't mean you're meant to be with more than one person or like not saying that you can't, be polyamorous or anything like that. Like you do you, but not all connections are meant to be explored. Sometimes they're just meant to teach you something. They're meant to, you know what I'm saying? And you probably had a full blown lifetime with said person, which is also, when you're committed in a relationship, it's like love is a choice. It's like you're choosing your partner, right? You choose yourself first and foremost, but it's choosing your partner. You're not going to betray them for another connection that's out there when it's not fully aligned because often more than likely like unless you're with someone you're not aligned with, if you're with someone that you are aligned with, if you meet another person and you have a connection with them, there's going to be something out of alignment. So just because there's a connection there, it doesn't mean you should explore it. You should explore what's fully aligned and only what's fully aligned. That's how you know that like you're on the right track. Does that make sense? And as long as you're choosing yourself first and you're not like abandoning yourself for the connection, because abandoning yourself is not in alignment, right? Right. We know this. Anyways, so that was interesting, that memory of that lifetime with Scott. I was like, oh my God, that's why the name was showing up physically. It was like preparing me for the journey to help me make sense of it. And then it was funny how Spirit delivered it too. It's kind of like they were showing me, like, yes, you had a beautiful life with him, but look at how beautiful Jess is too. And yeah, Jess is fucking awesome. If you know Jess, you know. And I'm like, and they were showing me like how beautiful is it that they get this lifetime to live out, what they're meant to live out. And I was like, yes, that's so beautiful. It was just really funny and interesting. And then they also tied it back to my first boyfriend, Bob and Jill. That's not their real names. I'm not going to use their real names because that's a little bit more of like a personal, story. But with Bob and Jill in that past lifetime, what Spirit showed me is they were feeling, Bob and Jill were feeling into another timeline and the betrayal happened. Betrayal happened. And yeah, that's what we see in today's world. We see a lot of betrayal. People, going for those other connections, even if they're not fully aligned because they feel something there, because their ego chooses to do that as opposed to choosing their partner. Anyways, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, just interesting, right? An interesting perspective. So another past life, I'll give you guys a couple more and then, yeah, a couple more and then I'll like close this out. But yeah, another fun one. It's interesting. I did martial arts for years, you guys. If you don't know, yeah, I have my second degree black belt. I almost got my third degree black belt, but I quit right before testing just because yeah, so there's a story to that. But anyways, I used to actually be a taekwondo instructor. I've lived many lives, you guys. That was a whole lifetime ago, it feels like. But yeah, I actually used to teach taekwondo and I was heavily involved in the martial arts school that I worked at, heavily involved. And it's funny because the owners of the studio, we call them sir and ma'am, they have two sons and a daughter. And, I've always there was one of their sons, Jared, I trained with a little bit, and then Jamie, Nick. Anyways, I don't know where I'm trying to go with this, but like I was heavily involved in the studio. They were like a second family to me. They felt like I felt super safe with them. And Sir and Ma'am have always been such beautiful leaders, like such beautiful examples for me. Um, really good people, like salt of the earth kind of people. And in one of my journeys, what Spirit showed me is that so Jared and Nick, which is their two sons specifically, they were my brothers in like another lifetime, which is crazy because like I just feel like I know one of them more than the other one. The other one I don't really talk too much, but the other one I go to his classes sometimes because he now teaches some kickboxing classes, which I attend once in a while when I just want to go say hi and, punch the bags a little bit. Anyways, So when I communicate with a little bit, well, just like a little bit more, but I told him this, which is so funny, but it makes sense to me because I'm like, we kind of have that, like, I feel that soul connection there, even though like I don't know them too well. I don't know their personal lives too well, but there's that like connection there. And what came through was that they were brothers in my past life, and Sir and Ma'am were like my parents in a past life. And it's interesting because I joined that martial arts studio when I was so young, like when I was 6 years old. So they were huge just in my upbringing in a way. Of course, my parents as well, but like they were huge. And I just have chills, and it was like so significant unknowingly. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like I still look at them like they're family. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's just so interesting. It like makes sense now. I'm of course, like, of course. And it's funny because this is what I was going to say before. When I had the journey with just with the Scott timeline, that same journey, Spirit brought me to. Now, this is interesting. Spirit brought me to, and I was like preparing myself for it because I thought that I was going to have to relive this experience, but they didn't actually make me relive the experience. But I feel like it's not a warning, but just kind of like, get ready. Like, you're going to learn more about this eventually. But they brought me to a timeline where I was burnt at the stake. And I just have full body chills. It makes me a little emotional. They brought me there, and I remember like with the mushroom journey, I was like scared, if I'm being honest, because I've been through some dark ass journeys, and like when I tell you it feels real and it feels like you're reliving it all over again, like it really fucking does. Like, and you might think, how does it feel like that? Like, no, 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 it really does. And so I was kind of like, I was like a little getting tense, a little scared. So I'm like, okay, Brittany, breathe. Like, they're showing you this for a reason. And they showed me this past life where I was burnt at the stake, but then they pulled away and they went to something else. So they didn't fully go into that past life. But it's interesting because literally a couple days later, Jared, the one that I was just telling you about, who was like a brother of mine in a past life, he sent me this photo on Instagram, and it was a shirt, and I actually bought the shirt. I have it. I was wearing it yesterday. I don't have it here with me. Maybe I'll like throw a photo of it up on the screen. But he sent me a photo of this shirt, and it was a woman getting burnt at the stakes with her hands tied, and she had a joint in her mouth, and she was leaning over and using the fire to like burn the joint. And he goes, I don't know why, but this makes me think of you. And I was like, no fucking way. I was like, yeah, because that was me in a past life. And if you know me, like, I love weed. I do like my weed. Um, so it was kind of like, obviously, getting burnt at the stake is not funny, but it was kind of like comical with the weed. Anyways, it was like they showed me that in the journey. Jared had no idea. I didn't tell him that. 2 days later, he sends me, like, it was just such an interesting, like, from Soul Family, unknowingly being a little messenger. And I actually bought that shirt. So I'll show you guys a photo here. Um, but yeah, so I know maybe I'll do a whole video on that if you guys are interested, after I learn more about it. If I learn more about it, you know what I'm saying? They kind of showed it to me, but they didn't dive into it. But there's something there to uncover. You know, it's kind of like they were giving me a little like heads up. Um, yeah, so that's yeah, because the resistance, man, I felt to going there. I felt a lot of resistance. I was fear. I was clenching up everywhere. Like the fear within me got real. So yeah, yeah. Anyways, stay tuned with that. Stay tuned with that. If more comes, like I'm not gonna go searching for it, and I want to make that clear. But if a recollection comes up and I feel called to making a video, I will. Let me know if you're interested in that. I can't promise when that'll be out because I don't know when or if I'll get more information on it. But the last one that I want to share with you guys, so this one was actually really sad. This one's really freaking hard. And I don't want to say who it is because I don't want to put it out into the universe, but through integration, I've realized now that this was also tied to a past life. But when it was happening, I was so scared. This was like a warning, spirit trying to give me a heads up about something that was going to happen. So there's somebody in my life, in my immediate family, basically, spirit took me through their getting kidnapped. Spirit took me through their getting found dead. They took me to their funeral, and they took me through letting go, releasing. And when I tell you, every emotion came up in that process, every emotion came up. The fear of not knowing where she is, the sheer panic, the terror that was coursing through my body. When I tell you I was this close to calling up my family and giving them a warning, because I was like so confused, and I've sat with a lot of medicine, you guys. So for me to like almost like kind of lose my mind is very unlikely. So my point with that is like with journeys and stuff, like you shouldn't, it's like, I don't advise you to just do them on your own unless you know that you can. You know what I'm saying? Like, have someone to guide you through it because you don't know what can come up. And sometimes what comes up can leave you feeling really confused. So I went through the panic, the terror, the guilt. I felt so guilty, the grief, the anger, the rage, the all of it, the blaming of myself, like even though it wasn't my fault, like there was so much guilt that came, sadness, like, and it makes me sad, like just kind of like thinking back to it, and to relive those emotions, like, in the span of, like, 5 hours because that was, like, the journey, just kinda, like, going through it all, and then the grief and the, like, really letting go was really fucking hard, and I was scared because I was, like, really didn't know at the time, I didn't realize it was tied to a past life or an alternate timeline or whatever it was, and it rocked me the next couple of days, you guys, when I tell you I was kind of fucked up because I was literally like, is this real? What is this? Like, why was that my journey? And through integration, which is why integration is so important. And after a big journey, it's really important not to like make any big decisions or anything like that because you need to give yourself time to like integrate first. This is why people can go crazy, right? It's like their ego tries to make sense of it, but really that's not like what it's trying to like, that's not the message. That's not the point of it. So it's layered, and I'm still integrating this journey. And this was like a while ago now, but this journey, what came up first was like, this came up to let go of this sense of protection I have over this person. I have this sense of protection over this person to the point of like self abandonment. Um, yeah, it's like I feel responsible for their life is what came through. This was yeah, I feel responsible for their life in some weird way. And the reason why I went through this was to help release that, to help let go of that. And then through more integration, I realized like, oh my God, this happened in a past life or in an alternate timeline, whatever it is that you want to call it. And by me going through that again, it was helping me process in real time. In real time. Do you know what I'm saying? Because time is not actually um, real. So I was able to help process and move emotions for that other version of me that was going through it in that lifetime. And it also just makes sense, my fascination for like missing persons and stuff. Like when I tell you, I've had a fascination for missing persons and just like crime stuff for as long as I can remember. I know a lot of people do, but like really just so fascinated by it. Um, because it's, you know, just like lack of understanding, like why do people really do this? And I feel like part of my fascination is because you know, did experience that in another lifetime. Um, yeah, and there's layers and layers and layers, right? And another part of it, you know, me going through that is to let go, you know, to let go of this sense of responsibility. Like it's okay for me to let that go. You know, this person is a full-grown adult. I'm not responsible for their life. Like it's safe to let that go, but I brought that into this lifetime as well. And that was another really, 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 really hard journey. So like remembering these past lives, like that was the hardest one, plus the one reliving where my husband died. Those two were the hardest ones to relive because of the emotion, like it was like to relive that was not fun, for lack of a better word. So there's a reason we don't remember our past lives. You know what I mean? There's a reason we came here to forget, especially, you know, with my first boyfriend, Bob and Jill. um, it's kind of like if I came into this lifetime with the full recollection of what would happen, there wouldn't really, like, I wouldn't want to heal. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm definitely open to healing because I'm like, yeah, I want to heal our connection, of course. Like, I don't care what happened in a past life. You know, that's not my reality in this lifetime. I'm not interested in your husband at all. Like, yes, let's heal. It makes it a lot easier to heal, to move through your karma when you don't remember. So there's a reason we don't remember. So with that though, people are going to start remembering, but they're not just going to remember for no reason. There's purpose to the remembrance, and it's to help you heal in this lifetime, and it's to help you understand other people and other cultures more. Um, so yeah, it's crazy, but those are like just some of the stories, like personal examples of how like I've remembered a few of my past lives now and how they tie specifically to people in this lifetime right here, right now. Let me know if you guys want another video like this, like if I have more past life recollections and you're interested in hearing, maybe I'll make a part two down the line. No promises because like I said, like I'm not searching for these recollections. They just kind of like happen when my soul is ready for the remembrance. So I also also urge you to not search for that either. Just trust that, like, on your healing journey, if you're meant to remember something from a past life, you will. It'll come to you. You don't have to make sense of it right away. And know that, like, like, you might experience something and you don't need to understand it right here, right now. Trust that the understanding will come as time goes. But yeah, okay, I'm gonna leave the video there. Isn't it crazy? Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you've had any similar experiences. Um, but yeah, I really felt called to make this video. So people are going to start remembering. Maybe you're one of them. Maybe you're already one of them. I also feel called to say, like, vivid dreams as well. Like, some people might get vivid dreams and, it's like a remembrance. Like, that might be a big one for some people. But we're going to see more people remembering, and it's all for the purpose of healing. Okay. So don't look for it, because sometimes the ego can sometimes, like, make something up that's not actually rooted in truth. But when when the recollections come, it's going to hit you so deeply. You're going to know that there's something deeper there. Even if it doesn't make sense in this lifetime. Like, it might be something tied to a past lifetime, or fears, right? Sometimes we have these, like, crazy fears and we're like, why am I so fearful of this for no reason? Well, maybe you have this deep-seated fear of something because of something that happened to you in a past life. You know what I'm saying? And we do bring those things into this lifetime. Body pain, right? Like my sciatica. There's so many layers to this. So let me know your thoughts. Subscribe if you're not yet subscribed. If you're not yet subscribed, it really does help me out. If you liked this video and you found that this video touched you in any sort of way or gave you any sort of clarity, I do have a tip jar in the description box below. I opted out of doing a members only for my YouTube channel because I want everyone to have access to my videos. So instead, I do have a tip jar in the description, which really does help me out. Thank you so much for those of you who have left tips. It always kind of, like, puts a little, like, smile on my face because people, like, will leave these little notes and I'm just like, this is so sweet. And of course, not everybody is able to, and it's never expected. Okay, never expected, always appreciated. Another way to support me is to like the video, to comment, to engage. Follow me on my other socials, you guys. I'm over on the Instagram. If you want more of, like, my personal life, I post more personal stuff on there. I'm also on TikTok. I post readings yeah, almost every day on the TikTok, depending on how I'm feeling that day. But yeah, I'm on the other platform. So check me out over there. All of the links for all of that can be found in the description below. And be mindful of fake accounts. There's a lot of fake scammers in the comments, you guys. I'm closed. My books are closed. I'm currently not doing any readings, and I will never reach out to you in the comments asking you for services. Okay, so please be mindful of the scam accounts out there. A lot of them look quite real. That goes across all of my platforms. Okay, I'm leaving it there. I'm sending you so much love. Look at my flowers, my new flowers I got today. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.